Hi everyone, so today I'm going to walk you through how to start the donut worksheet. And the first thing that you're going to do is pick a donut worksheet. Just look through my pile and pick one that you like. Then you're going to do the practice area over here first. So you're going to grab yourself some watercolor pencils. My students are going to look for the number. So this is number 2. So this means table number 2 gets to have this box. Then you're going to come over here and you're going to read the directions. Basically, what it's saying is first take your watercolor pencil and you color it in, and it's going to look like this. Once you add water, it should look somewhat like this. I like to say start in the middle and then work your way dark and work your way light. The reason why I say that is because if I start in the middle, I can just do medium pressure, and then that tells me what to do on the next box. If I start dark, I end up doing dark too long, or I go light too soon. And so if I just do a medium pressure, then I know that my next one is going to be slightly darker, and my next one's going to be slightly darker until I get really dark, okay? So I just keep working my way this way, and then I can work my way this way and getting a little bit lighter so that there's a subtle difference. So make sure you start with the middle. All right, now this one right here is you're going to combine it too. So basically for this one, I don't mind if you start dark, and then as you come this way, I'm just going to do it as fast as I can. When you come this way, you just get lighter, but you overlap a little bit into this one. Same with the orange. I like to start right dark. You guys are going to slow down. I'm just trying to do this fast to show you an example. Get a little bit lighter. Don't get light too soon though. And when you get to here, you're going to try and overlap onto this one, okay? And I actually might take this color and overlap a little bit further into this one, all right? So example A is what it's supposed to look like if you just use colored pencils. Example B is what it approximately is going to look like if you add paint. So I have one here on watercolor paper that I actually finished, and I'm going to show you how to add the paint. So what you're going to do is you're going to find yourself, I would say at first, small paintbrushes, because this is just a small little area. You're going to go to the sink and you're going to get yourself paper towels and some water. Now, the trick to this is to get it wet and then take off the big drops of water that are going to blob all over, right? So after I've taken off the extra water, I always start with light and work my way dark. So over here, I just kept this one white. So I'm going to start with this one. I start light, right? And I can either wash that off and start over, or if my paintbrush is still wet, I can just go over here darker, right? So you're gonna take your time, get those nice edges, and it's getting darker. The reason why we don't start dark is because the paintbrush gets dirty, and if you move over to the light side, then it's going to get all your light boxes dark. So you always start light, work your way dark. In the bottom one, you're gonna start in the middle. Again, do you see how I keep taking off the big drops of water? You're gonna start in the middle, and you're gonna work your way this way, because I start in the light and I go to the dark side. So adding the water is fast, kind of magical, kind of fun. So start in the middle again, because that's my lightest, and just work my way over. If you're doing, when you get to the actual donut part, you're gonna have to take your time, wash your brush off often to make sure that you don't have colors that blend into each other. If I get this wet and this wet right next to each other, it's just gonna be a big blob of two different colors. So you have to do one area first, wait for that to dry, get your paintbrush clean, do another area, wait for that to dry, do another area. So it can take a while. All right, after you're done with that, and this area is all finished, then you're going to start on this side, which I'm going to quickly show you. Do you see all these red marks that are around the box? We're just going to take a ruler and we're going to line those up. So let me make that big again. So I'm just going to take my ruler. I'm going to find the check mark here and the check mark here, and I'm going to line them up. Now I'm making my lines a little bit darker because I want you guys to be able to see it on the camera, but you guys should be making your lines super, super light. Why? Because using a grid is a great tool for you guys to learn, but we don't want other people to know necessarily that we used a grid. So at the end, we will erase these grid lines and make it look like we just drew them all. We drew this donut drawing all by ourselves and we didn't need a grid. So as you can see, each one of these boxes match. So instead of being overwhelmed with drawing the whole picture, you can just do one box at a time. So if I come over here and I like to go from here to here and I like to find the middle, if it's a complicated box and I find the middle, and then I come over here and I gently find the middle, gently find the middle. And then that tells me that this part of the donut was kind of around here. Ooh, and do you see how it went right into this little crease right here? So I know it goes to here. So I'm going to slowly work my way around and do box by box. And eventually I'm going to have a donut. But at the end, you're going to have to erase all of these grid lines. So that's why you don't want to do these grid lines dark. Already you can start to see I made mine too dark. But you guys hopefully will make them lighter. All right, so here's approximately what it looks like when I draw just the basic outlines. Don't get too caught up in doing any shapes that you don't need. Do you see how I have just the big outlining shapes on the outside and the big outlining shapes on the inside? Everything else I'm going to do with the color. So don't worry about getting everything perfect. Another thing I want to point out to you is that this donut is round. So what helps me see that roundness is that I put a couple of these in here to help me see that it curves in. These are contour lines. Cross contour lines really help the illusion of the donut. When you're coloring, if you can do that as well, that also helps. So where are your curves on here? Where do they curve? And then try to color in those directions. All right, I will erase this and show you what it looks like. I will erase the grid lines and show you what it looks like with the grid lines gone. All right, so now I have all the grid lines erased. So I'm going to look at this and I'm going to say, oh, this has purples in it. And what other colors? So pinks, purples, maybe in the dark shaded areas, I can have dark purple or some blues. So I'm not going to go and just pick one color and go for it. I'm going to go and grab all the colors that maybe I might use in here and then plan it out. Now, when I start to add the color, I might go and erase the top part of some of my pencils, because when I add water to this and it turns into watercolor, the graphite of the pencil doesn't mix well. So I erased it, but I can still see underneath it. I might do that to my edges as well, so I can still see where it ends. I'm just going to go back in with my watercolor pencil and do it that way so that I do not have to deal with the actual pencil getting wet and smearing. Now watch when I color. Do you see how I'm coloring in the direction where I see this? This would come and curve like this. So I'm trying to color in a curve as well. This right here is nice and dark. So I might go through and make that nice and dark. I'm actually going to add some blue to that in a minute. Over here, I can see that this comes up like this and it curves like this. So I'm going to follow that. I'm going to erase that pencil. I don't want those pencil lines. I do want them still there. You guys, if you draw lightly, you won't have to erase so much. But I am showing that this curves and goes in like this. Already the illusion is starting to be more real. Okay, so I'm very much curving in the curve of the donut, okay? And every time I get further into the donut, I go and erase the pencil. So I would come in here again, erase the pencil, see what color that is. I actually don't have that color right here. And then put that in. Now I'm far from being done, but you can tell that I'm layering. So I first start very, very light, and then I start to build the color, and I try as much as I can to mix the colors. So right here I have a raspberry, a red, a magenta, a red violet, a blue. So these are all the colors I've been using on top of each other and around each other. So a lot of the color was this, but if you look closely, I'm not sure if you can zoom in even more than this, but you can see that I have a whole bunch of different colors going on in here. And so I'm trying to use all my colors, even though I may just use one. Now, if you're using watercolor pencils, some of these colors, when you put them down, look kind of similar, but once you add water to it, these colors will start to pop out more. All right, so I'm going to end there, just reminding you to use a whole bunch of different colors. And this is not watercolor paper, but I'm going to try anyway. So I'm going to take my jar of water, like I told you, and I would start in the lightest area and work my way in. Okay. Lightest area, work my way in. Lightest area, work my way in. Okay. Always figure out where your light area is and then work your way in. Now, do you see how this is a different color than this one right here? Well, just barely, but there's some more red. So I'm going to keep that separate. I'm going to do that a little bit separate from the other colors. Do you see how I have the purple here? I might want to do that separate. Okay. Again, wash it off because this is another color right here underneath that purple. So I'm going to do that separate. So I'm keeping all these shapes separate from each other. So this right here, this area, I'm going to keep separate from up here, okay? But I want to slow down and come back up here, do the light first, then come down to the dark, okay? Light, dark, light. Try to curve in the direction you've been drawing or coloring in. Now, you might think, what happened to all these sprinkles, little pieces of sprinkles on your donuts? Well, I will go back after this dries and I will draw those on there and then add water to that. All right, good luck.